In today's chaos, we need a lot more peacemaking. So I spoke with a professional peacemaker, a mediator for over 2 decades, and the founder of the Enemies Project, Larry Rosen. It's a rich and I believe an important conversation for the body of Christ. So listen in and enjoy. Larry Rosen, what is going on, sir?
I'm here with you and really grateful to be here.
Well, I'm really grateful to have you. I stumbled upon the Enemies Project. It was in October, and I just was so compelled immediately by the video. I can't even remember the first one I watched. I think it was a gun related one, or it might have been the transgender woman at the MAGA mama or something like that. But I had watched a couple of videos and I was so compelled by your ability to be a legit peacemaker, so much so that I was like, okay, let me go see who this guy is. And then realized, like, you're a pro. You're like 25 years of professional peacemaking. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, people who are lay people might call it peacemaking, but it's mediation is what I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm an attorney and I do mediation.
Yeah. But I only do a certain kind of mediation, and so I think of it as peacemaking. I don't do mediation. I do legal mediations professionally, right? Like I have to make a living somehow.
Yes.
And the type of legal mediations that I do is where there's a personal relationship that's broken. People in a family, they're getting divorced, their brothers and sisters and their parents are older and they can't agree on how to take care of them, inheritance disputes, etc. So they have a legal issue because they have a broken personal relationship.
Yeah.
So, and that lends itself to like really deep personal issues where it's not just like, I'm not getting some money, we have a business conflict. It's more that there's something really broken in the relationship, and that's why people are fighting. Otherwise, they wouldn't need me. They'd just figure it out themselves.
That's right.
And that is, from my perspective, more like peacemaking, and it translated really well to resolving political issues.
Yeah, I love that. What drew you to mediation in the first place?
It's kind of complicated, like most people's paths are complicated.
Yeah.
But I'm a lawyer, and I didn't love the practice of law. It just didn't feel very, I don't know, important to me. It wasn't very motivating to me. I loved law school. I love studying, but when I got into the practice of law, I was kind of bored. And so I left the practice of law and I founded a startup and I raised some venture capital money and I ran that for a little while and it didn't succeed. And I needed to go back and earn a living essentially. And I didn't want to go back to the law. Like I was just like, wow, for me, that's not fun. And a friend of mine suggested mediation. And that did not appeal to me. I was like, I don't want to help people get divorced. Like that doesn't sound interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I went to a mediation training, a couple of them, and they also weren't that interesting to me because they didn't really help me understand people at a very deep level. It was just kind of like, go deeper, go deeper. It's like, how do I go deeper? I don't even know what that means.
Right.
And then I came across this thing called, someone at the training told me about nonviolent communication. Okay. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's like this, it's this mechanism. It's a kind of a protocol for speaking where you try to really understand what the other person's motivation is. I mean, it's kind of awkward and there are all sorts of weird phrases used, but at the core of it, it was just kind of like, we all share basic motivations.
Right.
A person's talking about, when they talk about how they're fulfilling those motivations, they don't really realize that, but I can get to their core motivations because I hold them myself.
Yes.
And so that was really like deep. So I went to a training for 11 days, having no experience with this, and it was life-changing to me. I was like, wow. I have been thinking about this kind of thing my whole life, but didn't understand how to put it together.
It's like you didn't have language for it or a framework for it.
And I think we all have stuff like that.
Yes, for sure.
Like when we're exposed to it and we're like, bingo, thank you for thinking through that for me because I couldn't do it myself.
Yes.
And so I came across nonviolent communication. I was like, this is brilliant. I get it immediately. And then I just put it into the practice of law. It's like, I want to do this in the practice of law. I don't see anyone else who's doing this. And I basically hung up a digital shingle. Like, I'm going to help you. I believe that you can't resolve your legal issues because
Right.
you have a broken personal relationship. I'm going to
Mm.
help you understand each other's motivation, and we're going to resolve the legal issue. And, you know, I was seen as kind of a quack, I think, at
That's
first.
wild. So this is not core to the practice of mediation from a training perspective.
No, mediation, I mean, they do tell you to go deeper.
Right,
They don't
but
give
with
you the
know-how.
they don't give you the know-how in any way.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like they say that their interests, people have motivations. Well, what are those? And,
Yes.
you know, they might say that that person's interest is revenge. That's not a human motivation from my standpoint. Revenge is very often a call for understanding. There are basic
Yes.
human motivations that people who mediate don't really understand what the real drivers are. Unless you get to the
Right.
real drivers, you can't really solve the true issue. And
Yes.
so, no, it's not part of mediation training.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's like you carved
And
yourself a little
nonviolent
niche there.
communication is not a form of mediation either. It's a system of kind of communication. And
Yes.
so I kind of had to put these things together in my own way.
Oh, wow. And so you were saying the reaction to that is from industry peers in the beginning was kind of like, this kind of feels like you're a quack. Is that what
Oh,
you had said
completely.
earlier?
Like, what are you doing? Practicing therapy without a license? I mean, this is why would people come to you? But that's what the industry peers were saying.
Yes.
The public was saying, finally, or at least some of
Yes.
them. Like that's truly what I want is some peace in my life. You know,
Yes.
like I'm not gonna sue my sister to resolve my parents' stuff and win $100,000 or $10,000 or $1 million, whatever it is, and be happy. Like,
Yes.
they knew that that wasn't going to work. And so, you know, I made this kind of big promise, which didn't always pan out, but almost, but a large percentage of the time did, which is
Yeah.
not only will you resolve your legal issues, but there's going to be to some extent some peace in your life. And I don't pursue understanding for its own sake. Like, I'm not making the promise that this is therapy. I am
Yes.
saying I'm going to help you solve this issue. And then I had to figure out how to make this system work in the same world that there are legal entitlements.
Right.
And it's not just about what my motivations are, but do I have the rights to things? And I had to figure out how to get this all to work together, which took me a
Wow.
while, but it was really interesting.
And now you've been at this for, I think I saw it's been what, about 25 years now you've been doing this?
Yeah, 22 years.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. Okay, so I want to know, was there like a particular moment was there like a catalytic moment or a core moment you could point back to that led to you saying, even though I spend plenty of hours of my day as a mediator doing this work, there's this thing called the Enemies Project. I'm going to go through the time, the investment, and all of these things to get a YouTube channel to talk about some of the most divisive issues of our time. Like, track me back to either the moment or the series of moments that led to you
The
even
series
doing
of
the Enemies
moments really has to, I would say it arose around 2015
Project. Okay.
when I started to think about things like this.
Yes.
I mean, I started to write a book about it earlier than that, but really, you know, when we started to fall apart in terms of our understanding of each other as a
Yes.
society,
Yes.
and it was personally scary to me. Like, I don't love instability,
Right.
um, but more than me, like I'm not as concerned about my well-being. Um, you know, I have a it's like I would die for a cause that's it's not it but more it's about my kids,
Yeah.
you know, like that. I can't tolerate that they're going to suffer,
Right.
and I can't tolerate that kids in general will suffer, like any
Yeah.
kid. And so when I started to see that there are all these issues in society that are not getting solved, that can't be solved
Right.
because they take cooperation, and we're spending 98% of our time just trying to defeat the other side, and then it swings back the other way and nothing ever gets done.
Right.
I just feared for my kids. I mean, it didn't matter whatever your issue is, whether you believe that um, climate change is a problem, or you believe transgenderism is a problem, or you believe that poverty is a problem, or that immigration is a problem, or that excluding immigrants is a problem. Whatever you think the problem is, it's not going to get solved.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
Because at least in the United States, it's 50-50. Like, It's just going to swing back and forth, and we're just beating each other silly and starting to hate each other.
Yeah.
And so that to me is a really depressing view, and it's also depressing because I actually think that some of the issues that humanity faces are existential crises, that they could end the human beings.
Yeah.
And so it's not just like I want cooperation because, we get all to hug each other.
This is not a kumbaya thing for you?
It is a little bit, but
A little
very
bit.
little. Yeah, I mean, I like hanging out at campfires,
Yes.
but it's more about survival, really,
Yeah.
for my kids, and not wanting humanity to suffer.
Yeah. There is a lot right in there, actually. By the way, tell me about your kids. So you have how many kids? All adult kids? What are the ranges?
I
What do you
have
have going on?
two amazing kids. One is 17 and is in high school and is, applying to college right now, and
You got one of
in
those?
fact, waiting to hear from colleges at this moment. And then I have one who's 20 who's in college, and she's at a school called Washington University. It's in St. Louis, and she basically runs the Enemies Project with me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like she does. I was my idea to create this, and I created the studio and filmed some shows, and then I was like, she was always into depolarization, always wanted people to get along, wrote book reports on it, probably because I'm her dad.
Yep.
But she was like, I'll do the social media for you. And then she was like, what else do you need me to do? And I started needing help with casting, finding people. She's like, I'll do that. And then people wanted to volunteer, and she's like, I'll manage those volunteers, and
Nice.
I'll build that website. And so she's put kind of the whole infrastructure together, which has been amazing. And it's grown really rapidly. And so, she's kind of my partner in this.
I love that. That's
Her
so
name is
good.
Sadie. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so the other thing I thought was interesting is your practice is called Through Understanding, which really stood out to me.
My legal mediation practice. Yeah.
Yes. And I noticed on the Enemies Project how you use this phrase. You said, understanding is rebellion. And I love that. I was like, oh, that's something I want to talk to you about. In the Bible, there's a scripture verse in Proverbs that says, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and in all you're getting, get understanding. So it's one of those things where it's like understanding is so core to the ability to just walk in alignment, even with the character and the nature of God, and for us to kind of operate with one another. So I love that understanding was so core to your focus. And so can you unpack this understanding is rebellion for me? What's underneath that?
Yeah, that really relates to something, is this movement about love that I'm creating between two opposing sides? That's one way to frame it. But another way to frame it is that we, ordinary people on two sides of issues, are really the same people who just happen to be on the opposite sides, and that we're being manipulated by others who want power, to hate each other, because that's their vehicle to power. And you can think of whatever side you're on, politicians you believe that do that, or media people who do that. And I call those people enemy makers. They benefit from their own side being afraid of the other side, and from the other side not capitulating, but responding with venom.
Yes.
And so they actually, their power would disintegrate if we had understanding, peace, love. And they are the reason, to a large extent, that a lot of the cooperation that happened in the United States doesn't happen, and that throughout the world. And there are other reasons that, with technological changes that enhance vitriol as well. But when I say understanding is rebellion, I'm saying that it's rebellion against these people who are manipulating us.
Yes.
That we don't realize are manipulating us, and we think very often that they are our heroes.
Right.
And they would collapse if we were at peace with each other, and they actively resist it. They delegitimize those who work with the other people.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean by understanding is rebellion. It's my rebellion, because I want to delegitimize those people, and I want to change our system. I mean, we don't need 99% of people to agree with my perspective. We need 5% of people to agree with my perspective to change the political system. The people who basically create swing votes. and who
That's
and leaders, from my perspective, are followers, really. I mean, not all, but they follow what they believe will be popular, and we
yeah,
need to make it extremely unpopular to delegitimize the other side, to suggest that they're, particularly ordinary people on the other side, to suggest that they're evil, that
right.
they're corrupt, that they're bad people.
Yes.
So that's what I mean.
Since you've been in this business professionally for many years, not necessarily on the political side of things, but in, dealing with legal issues and family issues, I'm wondering, what are you learning even now about understanding that maybe has been something new that you've experienced or learned new since delving into these political conversations with two strangers do a show on
Yeah.
the web?
So you're asking something that I'm learning, but I'd like to first cover something, if I could, because
Of
it
course.
feels like it might be a gap for your audience, which is
Okay.
that my proposition is that understanding is effective in getting you what you want, understanding somebody else. And
Yes.
so I want to make that clear, that this is not just a kumbaya thing where I'm just
Right.
meant to be hugging with the other
Yes.
side. It's actually, if you watch the shows, you have these people who start out in every show hating each other. Real from real dislike to absolute vitriol. That's how they start out, and they argue as political people do on both sides,
Right.
completely unproductive. And by the end of almost every show, people either like or love each other. There are enemies who are saying, "I love you, man. I cannot believe that I was opposed to you. Like what?" And so I see understanding as an effective means of transforming the other side.
Yeah.
Okay, and which may seem completely counterintuitive. Me hearing you transforms you, but
Yeah.
that is what happens and can
Mm.
happen in the political world. So if you are deeply opposed to, you're on the right and you're deeply opposed to the left, and you might say, okay, there are two. I can go out and yell at people on the left and really do what I sincerely believe, which is tell them that they are evil or stupid or whatever it is, or vice
Right.
versa.
Yes.
You will create your resistance. It is
Yes.
ineffective. That's a tool of war that is built into human beings, moral language and basically enemy making. And it galvanizes our side, but it also galvanizes the other. And so if you
Yes.
don't want to galvanize the other side, which is just to create a war, there's another way, which is to understand them. And you'll see on the show that when we understand the other side really deeply, like not just like what they want, but why, deeply.
Yes.
What happened in your own life that this is so important to you, that you've become an activist? Like, who becomes an activist, right? That you've actually become an activist. I
Right.
then start to care for you. You get that, and you stop viewing me as an enemy, and you can move toward me and now start to hear me. And so one of
Yes.
the things that's been really surprising for me on the show is how effective that is. That is, like it's become really clear to me. It's a little bit different than in the legal practice. It's been really clear to me that people want to, in this early segment of the show, when they're doing the traditional thing, which is arguing, they are quoting facts at each other, like back and forth. They probably, these people study up before they come on the show, and they have all this stuff that they go back and forth. And then I ask them after that segment where they're doing their traditional argument, okay, are you convinced at all? Like even the smidgen of by what the other person says, and
Yes.
they're like, no, like that was bullshit.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Like, what they
Right.
said was a bunch of garbage. Both
Right.
sides believe the other side said garbage. And
Yeah.
what's been amazing to me is that, which I would have predicted, but didn't really know until I've seen all these episodes myself. Like I watched them afterwards. After these people connect, after their body settles down, their nervous system is no longer on defense.
Yes.
It's then that they're able to hear the other side's facts. And they're like, what, something, okay, that is interesting. But when we're geared up, when we go into something where we already believe they're the enemy, there's zero chance we're going to learn. We're
Right.
not committed to learning. I mean, I can say it honestly for myself. If I'm in an argument with somebody, my job is to defeat them. I have zero interest in learning. It's just two different ways that our nervous system, our brain, our heart, our soul, whatever you want to call it, responds
Yeah.
to things. And so that's been interesting to me, that in the end, when they that they are they the other side will decrease their resistance to us. It'll
Yes.
fall once we understand them. Once they conclude that we're an okay person. Anyone who listens to us deeply, like if you go to a dinner and you're there and you're talking to somebody and they're listening to you and they're like really interested, like, tell me about your show.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Like, that's so fascinating. Like, how did you get into this? You're going to conclude afterwards, they're a good person.
Yeah.
You know, I don't dislike them.
Yes.
It reminds me of this commercial that I saw a really long time ago. It's so funny, and I always have this in my mind. I don't think I've said this to anyone related to the Enemies Project, but it's a car commercial, and the guy is sitting in his in the showroom, and he's like pretending to drive the car, and his wife is sitting next to him, and the guy who works at in the showroom is standing next to him, and there's a little sliver in the top of the window, and he's pushing money inside the window, and the guy says to his wife, "He's a good guy. He's such a nice guy. You know, I really like him." And he's like, it's almost like he doesn't know why, but the guy,
Right.
and that's kind of the way it is when you receive understanding.
Right.
Like it's just like, how could that person, if they understand me, if they're dedicated to listening, how could they be a bad person?
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, they can leave the conversation and still not agree. So it's not like forced agreement on a thing, but yet the understanding opens up another. I guess it's like, and enlightens your thinking a little bit more. There might be things that you were hard on before that you're like, oh, that's giving me something to think about. And then it's also keeps you from dehumanizing those who have a different thought process.
I think that's it, that we respond to other people in society. We think it's about the issues.
Yeah.
But it's really curious if you look at politics, like the issues can flip depending on who's in office. I mean, it's like everything can flip on its head because we just think of the other side as a danger.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, who's supporting war now? Who's supporting peace? It just flips because the other side is a danger. And so it really is about them resisting us.
Yes.
And you can get them to stop resisting you by taking them seriously, by really hearing them out, even if you don't agree with them.
Right.
And I make it really clear that the show is not about finding solutions or agreeing with the other side.
That would be a lot of pressure.
It would be a tremendous amount of pressure. It's interesting, though, that sometimes people are like, Larry, shut up. We're close to a solution. Because they've been curious.
Yes.
Through their curiosity, they've gotten to that point.
Yes.
And we're not going to find solutions unless we are curious about the other side.
Yeah.
Not curious so as to defeat them. Not
Right.
curious so as to figure out where the weaknesses are, but curious in them as a legitimate human being.
Yes. Yes. And you were earlier talking about, look, we're not going to solve all this stuff just because of the political system, right? But when you think about the fact that in pockets of people, like, you may not solve something at a national level, but man, this could absolutely change things at a local level, at a city level. It's like it starts small and can grow from there, right? Like, you think about national issues we have and you're like, oh my gosh, I have no idea how in the world one would solve this problem. It is absolutely too large if you're trying to look at it across the entire, United States of America, or pick your other nation. But then when you look at how these things could shift something in a neighborhood or a particular issue where people kind of come together and bring solutions. I mean, I talk on this podcast about how we talk about kingdom solutions. Like, what are things that Jesus has modeled that bring solutions to people so people can flourish? Like, what does that look like? How do we bring that to the table? And to me, understanding is one of those keys. It's one of those keys that Jesus modeled that we can bring to the table that can help people, whatever the issue is, whatever the situation is, to help others to flourish. So I love that. And I'm like, I made a post on Facebook the other day, and I was talking about your show. Actually, I was sharing it after I did the you guys had the campaign. I can't remember what you were using.
Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah, the Kickstarter campaign. So I supported the Kickstarter campaign.
Thank you.
Of course. And sharing it on my socials, and just talking about kind of my experience with the channel. And someone had said in the comments, just said, someone who believes, same faith background, and says, we're not called to be peacemakers. And then, she pulled a scripture verse out that talked about a sword and this, that, and the other. And I said, that's really interesting. Because it's like, no, Jesus said, blessed are the peacemakers. I don't know, like the Apostle Paul was just like, if it's up to you, like live in peace with others, So even within, I know you said you're not Christian, but even within the body of Christ followers, there's a lot of different thought process across.
I think that's true in every religion.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like because they're so historically deep. There's so much written by either from their perspective, God, or people who are inspired by God.
Yes.
There's everything out there that you can just pick the view in most that supports what you think needs to happen in the world.
Yes.
It's like there's no absolute, this is what it is. And I know that
you were interpreting it with a different lens.
Yeah. And I don't mean to demean Christianity in any way by that. It's just, but it seems to be like there are probably some core tenets that everybody would agree on. And then after that, it's kind of like, okay, how do we interpret all this?
Yeah.
And that could be
exactly
really
right.
different.
Yes. And how can we operate in unity without having to agree on everything? I mean, that's just with people in general, right?
And that I make a distinction that I think is really, I think most people understand it, but not everybody, that understanding is not condoning.
Yes.
Those are two entirely different things. We confuse them. Like if I'm like, I try to get where you're coming from, does that mean that I'm saying that everything you do is okay? No.
Not at all.
I'm just trying to understand deeply what's personally important to you. Like why is this so, and then what you're wanting in the world and how does that fulfill it? It's just like seeing the logical steps of this human being.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that I approve. So let's say you are really afraid that your people in the United States are being marginalized. And so you want, and by the other side. And so you want your people to rule because you're afraid that one side's going to marginalize the other. You want your people to rule. I can completely understand that.
Right.
And not condone it.
Yes.
But it's really important for me to understand it because I can't address this and point you to another solution unless I understand what's really going on for you. You're not a white supremacist or a black supremacist or whatever it is. You are afraid that your people are being marginalized and that they are not going to be heard and they're going to suffer.
Right.
So I've got to understand that if I'm going to solve the issue in a way that is different than your solution.
Yes. Yes. That's so good. Out of all the episodes, this might be a tough one, but there might be one that really stands out to you. Out of all the episodes so far, I don't know how many you've done, but I've at least seen maybe around 10 or so far. Which one has like touched you the most and why?
I'd say there are 3 that have touched me the most. 4, but the one that you saw, I think you said transgender, that to me is so powerful. In part because like the humanity brought by both of these people, like they see each other as just these opposites, and they come to say like, I think we're both being trampled by society, and they see each other as beautiful. I mean, it's just so moving for them to acknowledge each other, even if they don't agree with each other.
Yes.
I mean, that to me was extremely moving to be part of. Like, I was like, oh, does anybody else see this? This is so cool.
I love that
one. And the abortion episode, I don't know if you've seen that one.
I don't know if I saw
that one to me, like there's this guy who represents the right, and he's anti-abortion. And he comes across at the beginning to people on the left as almost a lunatic. To the people on the left, because he's acting out like the baby in the womb, saying, I don't want to die. I don't care if you were raped, that doesn't mean that I want to die, right? And from the people on the left, like you hear the comments, you see the comments on the episode, and they're like, that guy, what is wrong with him? But at the end, they all love him. They think he is a beautiful person. They're like, I cannot believe how gorgeous that guy is. Wow. That shift, where they see him as like a lunatic to being beautiful. Yeah. That to me is really, really moving. And then the most societally important episode, I would say, is a recent one called A White Cop and a black activist
That was
or a black
I
legislator.
watched that one.
And that, is really powerful because you have this break in our society that is so obvious with people on both sides who don't understand each other. And these two start out with like real crazy argument, and
Yes.
they end up in a beautiful place. Now, I would say it's not as personally powerful for them. Like, it's pretty powerful. Like, there's tears and there's hugs and there's maybe even an I love you. I don't remember. But it's not as powerful as the trans episode, but societally, I think it's more important
Yeah.
because it represents two enormous factions who say, wow, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
We are really the same. We want the same things in the world. What's been happening?
Yeah.
And for me, that's the point. Is really, it's not about the individuals. I know that it seems like it is on the show, but for me, it's about the societal impact.
Yeah. So I noticed you said in the comments. So you read the comments because you're
I
curious
do.
to see how those who are watching are responding
Yeah.
to what they're seeing. I'm curious, do you have any intention of creating any level of resource for people who are saying, hey, I'm watching this. Clearly, you're skilled at helping people have these conversations. I'm watching this and I'm moved, and I know that there's places and spaces where I want to be able to show up in this way, but I don't know how. Is there any thoughts or intentions around kind of equipping people with tools at all around your show?
Yeah. So the answer is absolutely yes. It's already been like we've written created a part of the website that addresses that. Have not
Good.
published it um, because I'm still sitting, making sure that it feels right to me.
Okay.
So it's been out there like in ready to go for about 2 months, and
Oh,
I'm just
nice.
still feeling it. But the
Yes.
the other piece that I would say is that we have a lot of plans because this is meant to be a social movement.
Right.
And by social movement, what I mean is that I want to change politics so that it functions, so that
Yes.
we are not trying to kill each other. And so there are different parts of that. And I will say honestly that what I'm doing, which even though we've gotten millions of views, et cetera, on different media, it's a blip in the ocean of vitriol, and it makes
Yes.
difference in some people's lives personally, but I do
Yeah.
not see it making a difference in the world.
Right.
That's just my assessment,
Hmm.
unless I can create a tidal wave.
Yes.
And so my thinking is there are two different ways of thinking about it. One is I shouldn't be measuring the impact. Like you probably think this as well on your show. Should I be looking at audience size? Should I not? Or should I just be feeling good about what I'm doing, that I'm adding
Yeah.
to the world in a beautiful way?
Yeah.
Right? And so that's two different mindsets. But when I do think about impact, there are two different plans that we have to have a much greater impact. Even though it's only, so even though we shouldn't be measuring impact yet, if we are to measure impact because we're young, but there are two different ways. And one is education.
Hmm.
And it's not just putting the tools out there. We have connections now with nonprofits that have approached us who
Yes.
want to put this in every school, every high school,
I
where
love
they
that.
are watching episodes of political enemies in the United States, and they are themselves basically inhabiting the other side and
Yes.
advocating for the other side. And we're developing curricula that hopefully will get into lots of high schools and maybe every high school, or most high schools.
Yes.
I get emails all the time from teachers at the high school level and at the college level that says they're already doing this at the educational level, and that's a huge impact. If you
Yes.
can reach every social studies class or most social studies classes and political science classes where we don't believe it as a debate to defeat the other side, but we see this as an opening for cooperation and understanding the other side so that we can work
Yes.
together. That's a very different perspective on
Yes.
politics. The other way that I want this to be a tidal wave and not just a blip is that I want our episodes, of course, everybody who does this work wants their episodes to be viewed by a lot of people, but I want our episodes to be viewed by 50 million people each
Yeah.
and to be cultural events. And so we have in the works celebrity icon episodes like think Mark Ruffalo and Mel Gibson,
Yes.
where they represent authentically different viewpoints and where they see the other side as messed up,
Right.
and where they have the same process, where I bring them through the same process as I do what I consider to be the ordinary people, but where
Yes.
they are proxies for the rest of us, and where it's watched by 30 or 50 million people, and it starts cultural conversations about, look, this is crazy. It's really actually all of us who want a functional society against, to the extent we're against anybody, these people who are thriving
Yes. Off of
from conflict.
division. Yeah. That is really, really encouraging to hear. And I have to say, this is not throwing shade, but I was really delighted to see, because several months ago, maybe even probably even a year ago or so, I had a lot of hope I thought that this is where Jubilee was headed. I was watching Middle Ground, and my hope was that I was like, oh, I loved the concept, how they were kind of pulling together, and it's like, oh, let's find middle ground. Well, for one, there isn't anyone serving in the spot that you do, like on Enemies Project, where it's like someone who's facilitating this going on. So it just, if there is a facilitator, it must be happening behind the scenes, but there doesn't seem to be. I don't know if you've ever watched it. Do you even know what I'm talking about?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no kind of facilitation
Yeah.
happening there. But then ultimately I'm like, this is not, I was like, you're so close, but then it ends up turning into clickbait, rage bait, as opposed to it actually going to a conclusion that feels like people are all the better for it. And so that's why when I saw the very first couple of episodes of the Enemies Project, I was like, I see so much potential for this as a real solution that doesn't end up being just like rage bait on the interwebs. And that's why I wanted to support on Kickstarter. And that's why I wanted to share it, and will continue to share it. I really believe in what you're doing.
Jubilee is, from my perspective, exactly what's wrong. I mean, they bring people together and they say, for connection and communication, or whatever that means, and they have people just screaming at each other.
Pretty much.
They time it. And, people are racing to fill a chair.
Oh, you're talking about surrounded. That's the worst.
It's just like, what is, and they don't, so it's, and I don't think that they are funded by venture capital, I believe. And apparently when they sold themselves,
I see,
they changed.
Okay, so that's what happened, because I was like, because back when I would watch Middle Ground, I was like, oh, there's some progress here. I can kind of see if there's, with this switch and this switch, I could see how this could be really good. And then all of a sudden, new format, new thing. Haven't seen one of those episodes for a while. It went to Surrounded, Hot Messville, and all of that.
And they do have those episodes, but they still don't get to any level of depth.
No, not at all.
It's kind of like expecting McDonald's to sell vegetarian sandwiches, and to promote the goodness of vegetarian sandwiches. Like, but what about the stuff that makes us money? We're not going to try to convince people that and Jubilee understands what makes them money.
Right.
They are, from my perspective, enemy makers. And enemy makers don't necessarily have to have an intention. They have to benefit and understand the benefit to themselves of exacerbating conflict. And I'll tell you that the incentive was immediately clear to me personally, because we can see that when we go on social media and post clips, the clips that do the best are the ones where liberals destroy, in their own word, the conservatives. Because on social media, it's mostly liberals who are watching our clips. And if we provide a boom, we'll get millions of views.
Wow.
But if we show a conservative destroying a liberal, no. But if we show the liberal destroying the conservative, yes. And if we show understanding between the two, no. If we show the liberal understanding the conservative, that won't get. But what will get a lot of views is the conservative providing understanding to the liberal. That basically people want their side to be reaffirmed, either as being right.
Yeah.
That's what gets views. And so you can see the incentives immediately. And so we've tried to
Yes.
navigate that where we want more people to see our content. We don't want it to have 3 views. We want our stuff to on social media have 1 million, 2 million views.
Yes.
But how do we do that in a way that is consistent with what we want to create in the world? Because there's
Right.
0 point of this to
Yes.
me if it doesn't have a positive impact.
Right.
And you can it's clear immediately when you see your results.
Wow. The algorithm lets you know what the deal is very
Yeah,
quickly.
exactly.
Wow. So that's the
And
challenge in the midst of the work you're doing, which is like, how do we make sure we maintain like the heart and vision and the purpose of what we're all about, even with clips that are supposed to get attention, but you want the
exactly.
right attention, to
Exactly.
lead to the right conversations, right?
Exactly. And understanding conversations will get the right attention as long as people believe their side is being understood. Not that their side is understanding the other. I mean, it's really amazing.
I must be in the minority of people who actually I want to see the conversation. Like I want to see the conversations that you're doing. I like look for where can I find people who just want to actually understand each other. But that's probably just because of my design and also the
Well,
type of
it's
work that I
definitely
do.
the case on YouTube. YouTube is where people see the whole episode.
Yes.
And there people really understand what we're about. And if they see one episode, they might be like, that was pretty cool. My side got understood. And then they see the next episode and they're like, I'm not so sure. My side had to understand the other side who are a bunch of idiots. And then they see the third episode and they're like, I want this in the world. Like,
I
this is
love that.
really amazing. Like, can you imagine if we could do this with everything? And they see the fourth episode and they're like, wow, yeah, let's do this. So they slowly get into it and they see,
Yes.
it over an hour period and they see the possibilities, but they don't
Yes.
necessarily start there.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so this is super good. So, would you say the thing that you are most excited about with this work in 2026 is around what you shared earlier with, getting pretty high profile people on opposite sides of the aisle and being able to take the same approach with them, or is it something else?
I would say it's that and the education. I mean, it's really growing the footprint and it's activating the followers. Like our followers, what do we have now? Maybe a couple 100,000 followers in 5 months, which is,
Awesome. It's
and
amazing.
it's not like all of them are super activated,
Right.
like super into it. I think a lot of them are, but of the ones that are, you can see that they're watching every show
Yes.
because we can see the analytics. We can see that they're watching the whole show. Right? It's different. The level of
Yes.
engagement is different. We have people who are writing us all the time saying, how do I do this in my life? How can I help? We have a volunteer network. And so my hope is to activate these people so that they don't feel powerless. I mean, one of
Yes.
the reasons I did this project is so that I don't feel powerless anymore.
Yeah.
And I think so many of your viewers and people in the audience and in our country just feel powerless. Like this whole freaking thing is getting away from us.
Yes.
Like, I don't want all this fighting. Nobody wants all this fighting, but it's better. But I can't capitulate to the other side.
Right.
And so it feels like it's solutionless and I don't know what to do. And so there are all these people who feel, it seems, passionately about that.
Yes.
And maybe it's only 10,000 people, but whatever it is, I'm hoping to give them something to bite into and to
Yes.
try to help shape something different.
I love it. Well, like I said, I'm a fan. I'm going to keep sharing. I'm going to keep supporting however I can. I'm so excited to hear that there's tools coming and just ways of just furthering the ripple effect of the work that you're doing through others. And so good, Larry. I so appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, let's actually do this too. Share wherever people should go to connect with the show. I'm going to link everything up, but just in case you'd say something other than what I would say, I want to make sure that you share where everyone should go.
I think that the best place to go is our website because
Okay.
it links to all of the episodes and you can also see what this is really about. You don't just watching on YouTube, like it clicks through to YouTube, but you'll
Yes.
see what the philosophy is about, how this is meant to empower a change in society. So it becomes something bigger. So I would say enemiesproject.org is the best place to go in. And I would also suggest signing up for the newsletter because you'll see when new episodes come out, but you'll also, we're going to make it so that people who receive the newsletter have other access to all sorts of other information, which is very helpful. But if you want to just go to YouTube and see an episode, it's the Enemies Project is on YouTube, and then we have social media, which is mostly Instagram. I think we come out with a clip every few days, and maybe we have 100,000 followers on Instagram or something like
Nice.
that. But I consider that to be just an entree to the full experience.
Yes. So they go to the website, everybody. That's the best place to go. So go there.
Enemiesproject.org.
Yes. .org. So Larry, thank you so much. God bless you and the work you're doing. So good.
Thank you.